Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday, another start of a brand new week, and happy early Halloween to all of you. My name is Tisha Marie Pelletier, and you're tuning in to Tisha Talks live at 4:45. This is a series that I started back in September as part of my big, bold move to come out strong and share a topic or question of the day, to bring in a guest or one of my connections, or to share some resources. So this happens every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Facebook, on YouTube, and LinkedIn. And it's a great question for a great chance for you to ask questions or for you to come and say hi and connect with me as we talk about the topic of the day. So quick housekeeping announcements. If you are tuning in live, make sure to drop a comment in the chat box. Say hello, say where you're from, so that I can personally thank you in real time or in the replay. And if you do have a question, make sure to ask that question so I can also address that. So thanks for you for tuning in live. Today, we're talking about the subject of confidence and those questions of, are you born with confidence? Can you lose confidence? And what the heck happens when you lose it? And how do you get it back? And people ask, Tisha, can you get it back? And I find that I feel like I'm living proof. I feel like I have lost confidence. I've gained confidence. I've been on that unstoppable track, and then it's plummeted to the ground, much like many of us have probably experienced in our life. So this topic came as inspiration of reading an article off of Inc.com about confidence and how to gain confidence back. And I was very surprised at, some of these, hey, Michelle, great to see you, some of these approaches and some of these tips that people share. So I'm going to share some nuggets of information, and then later on, I will replay. I'll put in the comment box the link to this particular article. But this is really what came to mind of, what do I want to talk about today? What's a great question to be asking? So hey, Linda, good to see you as well. And thanks again to people who are tuning in on Facebook. So today we're talking about confidence. And the first question I want to start off with is, are you born with confidence? And I'm going to say, yes. I think as babies, we don't know what confidence is. We think that we're just fearless. We can do it all. And we haven't yet gotten to that point of fear striking us and us feeling like we can't do it. There's no limitations. I know I was like that. I know that my confidence started to, I started to lose a little bit of confidence. So I'm going to take you back to when I was a little girl. And I had a babysitter that we had in the summertime, and this babysitter constantly fed us, tater tots, ice cream, pizza, everything bad, every horrible thing you can think of. But as kids, you don't know any better. You're like, this is good stuff. I like this. And I remember that pretty much over a summertime, I went from this, this healthy, kind of scrawny. I was, good size, but this kid that I ended up gaining a ton of weight. And I was pretty heavy set when I was a child. I was short. I'm still short. I'm 5'1", 3/4, and had a lot of extra weight. And I carried that weight with me until about junior high. I never learned healthy eating habits. In fact, I would always get upset with my mother because I thought this whole thing about, hey, you hired the babysitter, I got chubby, and now I don't know how to get this off. And I was constantly bullied, and I was constantly made fun of. And I remember, and hey, Analu, thank you, Analu Gonzalez, thank you for joining me. If you guys have any questions, please make sure to throw those in the comments. And yes, I love this topic too. I'm going to get vulnerable with you. I'm going to share some stories. But as I was sharing in the story, I was in junior high. And I remember going to my aunt's house, and I was wearing this t-shirt, and I thought I looked good. I was sporting the white Guess jeans. If you guys remember, that was kind of the style back then in the 80s, early 90s. And I go to my aunt's house, and she tells me, she's like, I really love that shirt you're wearing. I really love that. And I'd love to borrow it, but I don't think that it comes in my size. I think the shirt you're wearing would be way too big for me. And I just remember leaving crushed. I was just like, wow, okay, confidence down, confidence. How do I build this back up again? And, just again, constantly getting bullied weight, for my eating habits. I remember my mom, who is a nurse, taking me on a 5K walk. Actually, it wasn't even a 5K, it was a 1 mile walk. And I probably walked a quarter of a mile. And then I turned around and I said, I will meet you back at the starting line because I can't do this. I can't do this. And I remember going back to the starting line and just sitting there and just kind of wallowing in my pity, right? Like I couldn't do it. I didn't know how to do it. And I was carrying weight and all of this. And I'm not, I think a lot of us, we've maybe gone through something similar where we're not comfortable in our bodies. We're not confident in what, in how we present ourselves. And that was me. And it was a pivotal age for me too, being in junior high, getting ready to go to high school. And for me, the time changed when my aunt said that to me. It did something. It triggered something in my head. And I knew exactly why I wanted to change. I knew exactly what I needed to do. So I laugh at this. Some of you guys know Cindy Crawford. She had a workout video. It was on tape. One of my good friends in junior high, I asked her if I could borrow that. And for 3 months straight, religiously, every single day, I kicked my butt and I did that video. And when I got to 9th grade, I was back to the size that I wanted to be. I had lost all of that weight because I had really pushed myself. So I think that we gain confidence and we lose confidence, and we build our confidence back up, and then it can easily be lost again. So confidence. So how can you get it back? If you have lost confidence, which we've all said, yes, you can lose it. How do you get it back? And I'm going to just share a couple of things that I saw in this article. And hey, June, good to see you. A couple of things that I saw in this Inc. article. And as I mentioned, I will share it in the replay. I'll put it in the comments. But the author says that the best way to gain it back is really through vulnerability. It's about admitting that you're not perfect, and it's about taking back control of your life and figuring out how to start gaining that confidence. And confidence is not something that we turn off or on. Confidence is a process. Confidence is growing in that ability and knowing that you've got this and you can do this. I love this. Confidence is something that happens when you are at peace with who you've become. When you are at peace with who you've become, your confidence starts to soar and your actions are aligned with your beliefs. Whatever you want to accomplish, when you start moving in that direction of what you want to do, you become stronger, you become more confident, people start taking notice, and you start taking notice of yourself. The other thing that the author says, it's when your thoughts are open to everyone, yet you still take action. So again, it's about admitting that there's no perfect thing, that we're not perfect, that maybe we're all broken human beings, but we have to move in that direction of admitting to ourselves first that I'm not perfect. I have flaws. I have stuff that I need to work on, and moving in that direction. And it really is, again, about being in control of your life and being grateful for what you already have, what you've accomplished. There was a really great exercise, I know, on LinkedIn, where a woman said, hey, if you could take a piece of paper, write down 50 things that you love about yourself, 50 things. And everyone's like, I don't even know what 50 things I would put on that paper. Like, what are 50 things I love about myself? This is such a great exercise because we are our worst critic. We are the people that are always putting ourselves down, and we've got to stop that. Start looking at all of those things that you've accomplished, all of those things that you have done in your life, and what you still want to accomplish, because that is really when your confidence will soar. Here's the other thing. Share stories. I love storytelling. You guys see that all the time. I'm always writing rule of life lessons. I'm always talking about, bad stories, good stories, uplifting stories, all of these things with a lesson, because there's always a silver lining. If you think about it, there's always a silver lining. I know Michelle is on this live stream with me. Thank you, Michelle. Michelle knows this story inside and out. One of the other stories I wanted to share with you, when I lost all confidence, because I wasn't in alignment with who I was the inspirational girl dealing with fraud in my business. Some of you know this story. I've shared it very publicly, but that rocked my world upside down. It took all my confidence. I didn't know if I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I definitely didn't want to be an inspirational speaker because I couldn't even inspire myself. I couldn't even do it. I fell really hard into this fraud situation where someone took advantage of my kindness, took advantage of my business. And in the end, I ended up having to pay back every cent, even though I was the victim. It was a pretty horrific experience. It was 2017, so not even that long ago. And I say this because going into that situation, I was unstoppable. I was like, I've got this. This is a new year. Things are going great. And then all of a sudden, this situation happened and it knocked me down. It knocked me down. It kept knocking me down. It kept knocking me down. And I was sharing today with one of my mentees, my startup students, that, you know, when I had this program, the Startup Entrepreneur Academy, the one thing that really got to me was that all the money I was making from this academy, I actually was having to put toward my debt, my debt of when I was in this fraud situation. And so it's hard. It's really hard to admit when you were wrong, to really admit that you have faults, and then to start building yourself up again and to start boosting your confidence. The one thing that came as a result of that situation, Linda, I'm seeing your, like, I'll just put this up, Linda's little, her little face here. The one thing that really started to rebuild my confidence was being open enough to share that story and to admit that I had fault and to admit how I could get back after such a setback and such a failure in my eyes. It's one of my keynotes that I give on embracing failure, how to rise from the fall. And it's a very personal story to me. The other thing that this author shares is we're all learning. We should all be lifelong learners. We should never stop learning. So what are you learning? How are you constantly challenging yourself? How are you constantly growing yourself? And how are you going to be able to teach the next generation what you've learned, even if you're still learning it? Because remember, you can always teach someone, even if you're just a couple steps ahead of them. And last but not least, in this article, it talks about showing up as your authentic self. And I cannot stress that enough. I cannot stress that enough. Many of you have taken my personal brand builder challenge. I share again very publicly that I dealt so much with imposter syndrome. And if you are dealing with imposter syndrome, that is a surefire way for your confidence to plummet. Why? Because you are hiding behind the mask. You're trying to be all these different people for whomever, and your actions and your values are not in alignment with who you are. You haven't yet figured out those things. And if you have, you're not putting yourself out there in that way. So you confuse the message. People don't really get a sense of who you are. And that's honestly, when you are your authentic self, that's where the connectedness, that's where the community, and that's where the trust starts to be built up. That's how you start to find that tribe. And so these are such great points, and I want to thank you guys all. I see hearts and likes and things coming up on Facebook. Yes, Linda, absolutely. Learn, learn, learn. There's so many ways you can build your confidence, but ultimately it starts with you. It always starts with you. So I would love to hear from you guys. So Analu, she says, so loving yourself is the best way to boost your self-confidence. Yes. I'm going to just give you a big yes. You can't build confidence without first loving yourself. Everything is going to stem from you. Everything. You've got to learn to have some self-care and to love on you first before you can give love to other people. That's what I'm going to say. I feel like you're constantly going to be in this broken state of mind if you don't first learn to love who you are. You know, when I had my midlife crisis, it was 2015. I just came off of running the Mom Entrepreneur of the Year event. I'm in Huntington Beach. I'm in a bookstore and I am crying. I am physically crying in a bookstore because I can't figure out what the hell my purpose is anymore. I feel like I've accomplished the things I set out to do. I feel like I've challenged myself the way I needed to. I didn't want to miss a beat with my kids. My family means everything. I couldn't figure it out. And this one book that I got in Huntington Beach said, love who you are. And it was all of these great quotes and snippets and all these things in this little book. And I would get it for you, but I'd have to take my headphones off, but it's on my bookshelf. But love who you are. And that moment, Analu, and everybody else watching, that's exactly what I needed to do first. Start with you. Start with loving you first, because you've got to love yourself first before you start pushing that out to other people. And loving yourself first is a surefire way to start boosting your self-confidence. And just as the author said, confidence isn't something that you turn on and turn off and turn on and turn off. It is a process. It's building. It's building over time. Every single day, it's building. Oh yes, my cousin Ardell chiming in. Ardell, I don't know if you heard, but I shared the story of your mom and how it actually pushed me into action when I was younger to start losing weight and taking a healthier approach and getting good habits. So yeah, sometimes we may hear something, just like I shared in the story earlier, we may hear something that makes our confidence plummet. Like my lovely aunt who said this, and actually I thank her because she did something for me. When we hear something or when someone says something negative to us, we can have a reaction where we just do nothing with it and we blame them and it's their fault, or we can actually turn it into a positive and start changing and being better and becoming better. And that's exactly what my aunt did for me. So since that time where I told you I was a little obese child, I couldn't even walk a mile, let alone run a mile. Since then, I have gone on to complete 2 half marathons, and I'm a Spartan runner, Spartan sprinter. And I'm religiously working out because I know what I felt like at that time, and I know what I want to be, and I know I want to be healthy for my kids. So yeah, sometimes those negative things, or those, I hate to say it, those words can break us, but it also can make us stronger and to start building our confidence and to start moving us in the right direction. Absolutely. Yes, Ardell, my cousin, you absolutely are. She wrote here, I am a kinder, more improved version of my mother. Yes. Okay, don't tell her I said that, but yeah. But yeah, absolutely. So think about that. Think about all of those things in your life. Think about what you're grateful for. Think about what it is that you love about yourself and start there. Because when you look at this giant list of all these things that I love about myself, or you love about yourself, then you can start building and boosting that confidence. It becomes with being vulnerable. It becomes with the stories that you share. It comes from all of those experiences that you have in order to pick yourself back up and keep moving into that confidence. All right. That's it for today. That's it for today's, I was going to say Convo in my Camry. This is another series, Tisha Talks. I do so many of these live streams and videos. So yes, if you're following me, you've probably seen them all. But yes, thank you. Thank you, Linda. She says, woohoo, go Tish. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that so much because this is a very vulnerable Tisha Talks Live. I'm sharing with you about some of my faults. I'm sharing some of my deepest, darkest stories that knocked on my ass, quite frankly, and how I had to get back up and how I had to keep fighting for it and how I have to keep going. I don't always have confidence. I'm going to say that. I know some of you might look at me and go, damn, that girl's so confident. Okay, I've had to work at it. It is something that you have to work at. Confidence, just like the author said, isn't something I could be like, I have it today, I don't have it tomorrow. Oh, but I have it today. No, you have to keep working at it. And there are definitely some things that you can be doing. Show yourself some grace, love on yourself, get real, be vulnerable, and keep being your authentic self. All right, I hope you enjoyed this Tisha Talks. Remember, you can watch the replay if you missed any of it, and also comment. I do check the comment box so I can respond back to you. And I will be back on Thursday, 4:45. Topic still yet to be determined. So if you have a topic that you'd love for me to dive into, please share, and I will do that for you. But thanks so much for tuning in to Tisha Talks Live at 4:45. I will see you guys next Thursday, or this coming Thursday. Bye, guys.